Our concept of reality may look drastically different soon. This, according to some top tech leaders, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, just two of the big names who spoke at Recode's annual Code conference. The event is a time for innovators to discuss current trends in technology, perhaps where the industry is headed next, and perhaps the positions we all play in a very advanced virtual simulation of reality. CBS News contributor Nicholas Thompson is an editor of NewYorker.com, here to discuss it all. But first, I do want to get to Mary Meeker's Tech Trends report, the State of the Union, if you will, of the business. Interesting, jumps out here, less internet, more video, which, if nothing else, seems to be a snapshot of the problem that Twitter is facing right now.
Right, it is true. I mean, there is a clear trend. I mean, Mary Meeker looks at like the next 5 years, which is quite different from Elon Musk, who looks at the next 5,000. So what Mary Meeker is saying is there has been a trend, and there will continue to be a trend towards the visual internet and away from the text-based internet. If you go back to the early days of the internet, where we have very limited bandwidth, very limited storage space, of course, text is the only way that can make sense, right? Because it takes little space to store a bunch of sentences. Now we have basically infinite storage and infinite bandwidth, so we've moved to video and images. The human eye takes in a lot more information in an image, and all of the tech companies completely believe that we interact more, we respond to more when we're looking at images or we're looking at things visually. So they all think that the internet is going in that direction, which of course makes them push it in that direction, which is why, for example, Facebook has completely prioritized live video over text in the last 3 months.
And interestingly, I've been speaking to some folks who are involved in focus grouping of millennials in terms of politics and news and where they get their news. And they were overwhelmed to discover that Snapchat is now, it's the medium wherein people consume and digest news. I guess that explains why they are getting even more views these days than Facebook. And again, why Twitter is having a battle for its very soul.
I mean, Snapchat, the rise of Snapchat, which has just surpassed Twitter in monthly users, perhaps not in monthly influence or whatever, but Snapchat is clearly on the ascent, certainly compared to Twitter. That's because Snapchat is a very well-managed company, or appears to be at this point. The founders don't fire each other every year.
There's still Game of Thrones happening, as we see in some other companies.
There is, perhaps as at Twitter. They made a really good decision with Snapchat Discover, right? They introduced this news feature. They got big brands to come along to it, and people have loved it, and people interact with it, and people use it. So Snapchat is rising in every sense, and it's rising among young people.
Made a good decision, too, turning down $3 billion Facebook dollars, it would appear, as well.
Just 3 years ago.
You'll forgive me, but as something of a singularity geek, I do need to ask you about this. Elon Musk, who continues to be, if nothing else, perhaps the most fascinating man in Silicon Valley, and that's saying something, made some interesting comments. Essentially, his point is that if you accept the fact that the rate of, as he put it, improvement of technology, I might just say advancement, he sees it only improvement. If we accept that 40 years ago we had Pong and now we are where we are, what's to stop us in 40 years hence from seeing an indistinguishable line between virtual reality and actual reality? And then he takes that an exponential step further that suggests that if that's possible, then perhaps it's already happening, and essentially we are all just players right now in some advanced civilization's virtual reality game, if you will.
Right. In fact, I think he said there was a 1 in a billion chance we're base reality, 1 in a billion chance that we're real.
That this is real.
Right. 1 billion minus 1 chances that actually somebody else has created a simulation and a video game into which we are a part, which, if anybody else had said that, you would be like, give that guy another beer, and you would have gone like somewhere else. But it's Elon Musk, right? It's one of the great futurists, one of the great thinkers, a guy with an incredible record, and a guy with a genius IQ. So you have to at least think about it.
But it presumes simulating consciousness, which does seem a slippery slope. Essentially, that we would have to be not just have a consciousness of our own, but not be able to see ourselves as players in a game, but as actual people.
Well, but what is consciousness, right? Is consciousness something that can be simulated by computers? Can you build a digital neural network? Can you recreate our minds exactly through bits? You know, there are a lot of people who think you can. And does a video game player who makes his own decisions not because you move a joystick, but because of bots that have him learn a landscape, does he have a consciousness? Maybe. right? Will a video game player in 20 years have what we think of now as a consciousness? Perhaps. I don't know whether consciousness is the line that can't be crossed. I mean, I do think you could create a video game simulation that is as advanced as our society. I don't happen to agree that we are a video game simulation, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of problems, right? Like
Fair.
oxygen levels on other planets,
Fair.
can life survive, right? And
Fair.
all of that. But so I'm not totally on board with him. But I do see where he's going.
Because see, as you put it, one of the great futurists, and certainly, you know, our billionaires are not brick and mortar billionaires anymore.
Right.
I feel like Elon Musk is somebody who, you know, we don't need railroads anymore. We don't need steel. We don't need cars. We don't even need computers anymore.
We don't actually need Earth.
Right. So here's a guy with SpaceX and Hyperloop and electric cars. I figure, you know, he's sort of like the kid who went to Disneyland and said, "Yeah, let's just make this." Like these are, he's a billionaire of his age.
He's a billionaire of his age, and he is a real dreamer, and he dreams about. He doesn't dream about ways to make himself more money. He dreams about ways to solve humanity's problems. Right? Like, how can we get to Mars by 2025? Well, we can do this. How can we sort of travel 10 times as fast with none of the pollution? Okay, let's try to figure that out. Now, he hasn't solved the Mars or the Hyperloop problems yet because he is, you know, made of flesh and blood, and there are limitations to all the things he can do.
Maybe.
Right, he may
maybe
just be,
he is. He
right,
doesn't think he is.
He may be the central most powerful player in a simulation, or he may be the central villain in a simulation.
He's the Elon Musk in that simulation, right?
Right.
It's time is a flat circle. He's like Bran Stark in Game of Thrones. Maybe
Right.
he's all of them all at once. Interestingly, though, back in this,
I agree, by the way.
Back in this virtual reality. I read a great piece in Market Watch about a month ago, positing a theory that has taken some hold, if nothing else as a theory, that perhaps he would be great to be the next Steve Jobs, perhaps at Apple. That if Apple is looking to get into the electric car market, and he himself said at the Code conference, nobody's really made a great electric car yet.
Yep.
The idea being that Tim Cook has been for years and years a great number 2, but he needs somebody walking around theorizing about base reality and thinking big thoughts about going to the stars and getting around via monorail. What do you make of that as a possibility?
Well, there's no question that Elon Musk is one of the smartest, most important, best thinkers in Silicon Valley. What made Steve Jobs, though, was singular focus, right? Like, let's really look at these products. Let's obsess about every detail of these products. Let's think about what users need, and let's build the perfect product. Elon Musk, I mean, he was talking about 26 different things, right? He would come to Apple, he would have a great session on the car. And maybe he just has more bandwidth and can do 10 projects with more attention than anybody else can do one. My guess is he's not quite the personality type. Apple is made for people who are monomaniacal. That's why they're so good at a couple of products.
But they need something new, essentially. I mean, they're admitting that themselves. They're going to be scaling back the production of new iPhone models. I feel like there's a sense that we need a new thing. It wasn't the watch.
So maybe Elon Musk should sort of buy and absorb Apple, right? Instead of Apple absorbing Elon Musk,
yes,
Elon Musk should absorb
or maybe
Apple.
The advanced civilization playing us as a game right now should just toggle their joystick, if whatever it is they use to control it.
If we are an advanced civilization, it's very hard to figure out what you should do next, right?
Fair.
Because, like, do we actually have free will, or are we being controlled by somebody else? And if so, why are we here?
And look, as a singularity nerd, I haven't even gotten to the fact that apparently we have about 25 years left before AI takes over completely, and we become to artificial intelligence what apes are to us at present, which is a whole other.
Well, Elon Musk actually said we'll become house cats, right? And
it's fair.
And that's, to his credit also, this is something he's trying to ward off, right? He is somebody who's trying to say, let's look at AI and let's try to prevent bad AI from coming to fruition.
House cats on Mars, the Elon Musk story.
So that's where we'll be next.
Nick, I don't even know if we got anywhere. Time, I think, might have been a flat circle here, but we very much appreciate your time.
Glad to be here.
So to speak.